Assalamu alaikum and good morning. My name is Raja Saror. So hey, welcome to Rise and Shine at Bahria University on BUTV. And today we have two extremely prestigious guests who have come all the way from UK, Brunel University, and they're here to inaugurate their partnership or have a follow-up on their partnership that they've had in May. We started in May, and we're going to talk to them about how that partnership has taken place, what is going to be the role of that in the future, and how do they see different students coming from Pakistan to UK and this partnership overall. So let's go towards our guests. We have Sean Holmes. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Good morning, very pleased to be here.
And we also have Ali Baksh. Thank you so much for coming. And let me just start off by asking you guys, how are you guys feeling to be in Pakistan right now and at Bahria University?
I am very excited to be in Pakistan. This is my second visit. My first visit here was a truly magical experience, so I have been wanting to get back for quite a while, so I'm very happy to be here.
That's good. What about you, sir?
Likewise, we arrived yesterday, but really sort of energetic and looking forward to the next couple of days.
Right, so you both have interest in filmmaking and television, right? So my particular, I'm also a student of media studies, and a lot of people who are going to be watching us right now have interest in media studies as well. I want to ask both of you that what is that specific advice that you would like to give to the budding filmmakers or the television producers who would like to come into this field in the future?
My advice would be to get as much practical experience as you possibly can. You get an excellent academic grounding here at Bahria. You will get the training that you need, but I would say that probably the key is also to get out there, complete internships, find yourself work placements and so on.
That's very important, yeah. What about you, sir?
I would say exactly the same thing as my colleague Dr. Sean Holmes. I think it's really important in this day and age for students to get as much exposure and experience in the field, regardless of it being media communications or indeed any other sort of subject area. So the more experience you can get, the better for your future.
Obviously. And so what is the role of Brunel University in all of this? Because I know it offers a lot of courses, very diverse in nature, but how would you specifically talk about the courses it is offering for filmmaking and journalism, as we were talking before the show?
Okay, we have quite a broad portfolio of media-related programs. Some of which are more social studies in their orientation, some of which are more oriented towards the arts and humanities, but all of which put a great deal of emphasis upon practical experience and work placement. One of the things that Brunel as a university has always prided itself on is the employability of its graduates, and part of that stems from the fact that we foreground the importance of getting practical experience. So we offer several different programs. We have a bachelor's program in communications and media studies. We have a bachelor's program in journalism, and we have a bachelor's program in film and television studies, and we're about to launch a new BA in filmmaking, which will be much more practical in its orientation. So a wide range of options for students who are interested in those kind of areas. And at master's level, we offer a degree in international journalism, which is very much about training young journalists to work from a range of platforms, but with a very international orientation. So it will bring students together with other aspiring journalists from all over the world, and does so very successfully.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how many international students do you get every single year?
Brunel is one of the most international universities in the world, and that is one of the things that we are very, very proud of. We have students from around 130 countries on campus at any one time.
That's massive.
But what that means is that we can offer a very diverse experience to students, not only students from all over the world, but students from a whole range of different backgrounds in the UK and London as well. So diversity and the celebration of diversity is very important to us.
Okay, and how has your interaction with Pakistani students been so far, or people who come from Asia? How much of an enthusiasm do you guys see in those students?
From my experience, Pakistani students have arrived at Brunel and really flourished.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons that I was so eager to get back to Pakistan is that we have a lot of alumni in Pakistan. We have a very strong alumni chapter here, and A, they made me feel very welcome when I visited last time, but
yeah.
B, they speak so positively of the experience of studying in the UK and at Brunel. So my experience of Pakistani students is a very, very positive one.
That's great. And what about the overall role of, the community over here in developing those student skills? How have you seen Pakistani universities in that regard? Do you think that they are training their children enough so that they can compete on an international level?
I think that from what I've seen, and as I said, it's only my second visit, but somewhere like Bahria University is offering its students exactly the kind of opportunities that it should be offering. You have excellent facilities, you have this beautiful studio here, the opportunity for students to hone their skills in a range of different roles, whether they be technical or like yourself in front of camera. It seems to me that Bahria is providing its students with exactly the kind of training that they need in order to flourish.
All right, so sir, I would like to ask you now that what do you think about the collaboration that is going to happen now between Bahria University and Brunel, which has been signed formally today, I believe.
We signed an MOU when your rector visited Brunel last May.
All right, so it's been a while.
This is very much a follow-up visit.
Great. So how do you see that collaboration? How effective is that going to be for students over here and as well as the people in Brunel?
I think it's an opportunity that's being explored by both our universities, and so there is plenty of opportunity for us to build it in the way that we'd like it to benefit both your university and of course your students, but also at Brunel. So the opportunities are there, and we just need to sort of explore what options would sort of best offer us the collaboration that we think we could sort of achieve.
That's great. And I want to ask you now that how has your experience been so far with Bahria University, and how do you see the resources, as you were just talking about, that we have a studio here, and we also have another studio which offers filmmaking. We don't have proper courses, full-time courses for that, but we still have training going on for filmmaking, advertisements, television. So how do you see the kind of work that is being done over here?
Again, from my experience, the work is of a very high quality, and I would expect the media and film and television provision here at Bahria to expand and to build upon the foundation that's been put in place here in recent years. So I'm very confident that it will flourish, and as it flourishes, I hope that we'll be able to build closer connections between Bahria's media programs and Brunel's media programs, because I think we can both benefit from that. And picking up on your earlier question about how a partnership might develop, it seems to me that one of the most important things is that it should bring reciprocal benefits, that it should benefit both parties, and I think there's huge opportunity for that to happen.
Right, and this is something which is of my interest as well. I want to ask you that what kind of scholarships is Brunel offering to its international students who qualify for that?
Okay, I will pick up that question, but Ali may be able to answer in more detail for you because this falls more into his area of expertise. But we have a range of scholarships for international students, but we also have some country-specific scholarships, and I believe that we have scholarships specifically for Pakistani students. Could you pick up on that, Ali?
Yes, so
Before we go towards that, I think we should take a short break.
Okay.
And when we're going to come back, we will continue with the discussion right where we left it. So see you after the break. morning, welcome back after the break. Now we're going to move back to Ali Baksh, who was talking about the scholarships that Brunel University is offering us. So sir, can you start with that?
Sure. Let me just add a few points to what Sean was saying earlier about how international the university is. We have an estimated 14,000 students overall, of which about 3,000 international. So it's a very international mix. In terms of the scholarships that we offer for 2018-19, we are expecting to have about 55 scholarships for international students. It's by application. That's a standard scholarship, but besides that, we also have scholarships by country. So for Pakistan, for instance, we're going to have some specific scholarships, details of which are yet to be published, but that's generally how the scholarship systems work at Brunel.
Specifically, if Pakistani students want to know that this is the particular scholarship that is being offered to them, how do they get to know about it?
Well, there's several ways that they can find out about the scholarships that we offer. Of course, the best source would be our website, the Brunel University website, which is www.brunel.ac.uk. Typically, the process is a student has to apply, has to hold an offer letter from the university, and once they receive an offer letter, then they apply for the scholarship. That's the process in a nutshell. We do have other types of scholarships where it's automatic, but more so for school systems out here in Pakistan. So we're fairly active here in Pakistan in many ways.
Right, that's a very informative thing that people should know about. And now moving on, I want to ask you that how has the partnership been with Bahria University so far? As far as your experience is concerned, how much have you gained, and how much do you see that there is a prospect in future to gain?
Well, personally, I've gained a great deal from it because I've been made to feel so welcome here. It was a great pleasure for me to host your rector and his team when they visited Brunel back in May. So now we're looking for ways to take the partnership forward. And we've begun with some quite small projects. So, for example, colleagues of mine in the Brunel Business School are now working as external examiners for PhD students in Bahria's business program. So we're bringing our expertise here. Our staff are also having the opportunity to interact with doctoral students at Bahria. Excuse me. So we're beginning to get the kind of exchange that works to the benefit of both institutions.
Right.
I think in moving forward, it would be nice if we could host some summer schools for Bahria students so that they could come to Brunel for short periods of time during the summer. Maybe in quite specific areas like engineering, for example, but I'd also be interested in developing some broader summer school programs that would attract Bahria students who are working in the social sciences, arts and humanities and so on. So I think there's a lot of potential there. And I think in terms of facilitating this process of exchange, we live in an era in which we have access to incredible technology that makes it possible for us to communicate very, very easily.
Yeah.
So it would be nice to have Skype lectures happening, for example, so that Brunel academics can speak to Bahria students, so that Bahria academics can speak to Brunel students. So those kind of exchanges, I think, are potentially
very
exciting. Yes.
Yeah, that would be a very good idea. And okay, so I have a lot of information on what you have done over the years. There's a lot to talk about, but briefly touching some points, I'm particularly interested in finding out about some of your published work on politics of cultural production, excuse me, and how has that helped you to develop your skills and what that basically was about?
Okay. I began my career as an American historian, and I was particularly interested in theatre and film and television industry in the United States. So I was primarily concerned with the processes by which theatrical productions and movies and television shows are produced. I was interested in the experience of the people who are engaged in those productive practices. So that's where my interest lies. I was also very much interested in the history of trade unionism in the American entertainment industry. So my first book was on the American Actors Union, Actors' Equity. So that was where my research in this area began.
Can you elaborate that a bit more? What is that about?
It's a book about the early history of trade unionism in the theatre industry and in the film industry in the United States. So it covers the period from the late 19th century through to the late 1920s.
Okay, and I have a follow-up question
Yeah.
on that. So you've done work on theater as well, and you've done a lot of research on that.
Yeah.
So how do you think, or what is your take on the fact that theater can help actors to develop the skills that are required to become more professional? And it becomes like, this is something that we hear from time to time, that people become more skilled when they get into television or film. So how do you think the role of theater is important in that way?
In terms of my work, one of the things that is interesting during that early period when the movies are emerging as a mass medium is that there is quite a lot of tension between theatre actors and film actors.
Okay.
Because theatre actors believe that they are the real actors, whereas film actors don't have the training, they don't have the experience of working in theatre. So there's always a lot of tension between those two groups. I'm not sure that that tension exists to the same degree now, because there is a certain amount of back and forth between the theatre and the film industry. But I think that most film actors actually cut their creative teeth in the theatre. Film acting requires a different skill set.
So is it necessary to become a theater actor to be taken seriously?
You mean as a film actor?
As a film actor,
I don't think so necessarily. It used to be that way in the early history of the movies. I think it's less the case now.
Right. And okay, now I want to talk about the joint ventures that can take place between different industries around the world, and specifically the Pakistani industry, which we have seen developing a lot of and making a lot of movies over the years. It wasn't the case maybe 5 years ago, but now we have several movies coming out every single year. So how do you see a joint venture in the future between different parts of the world? So specifically considering the Hollywood in this whole scenario, we see that Hollywood has different story writers and directors coming from all over the world. How much is there a space for Pakistani content to be presented?
I think that the Hollywood film industry increasingly is looking to borrow bits and pieces from around the world. So I think that, for example, Hong Kong cinema from the period from the 1990s onwards maybe was a source of inspiration for Hollywood cinema. So Hong Kong movies would be borrowed, techniques borrowed from what was happening in Hong Kong cinema during that period. So I think that there is a great deal of cross-fertilization going on, and as the Pakistani film industry develops, I think we will begin to see that in relation to Pakistan as well. I think in terms of the UK, which is where my research is focused now because I'm based in the UK, there are such strong links between the UK and Pakistan that there will be a market for Pakistani movies and opportunities for cultural exchange, because there is such a large Pakistani community, particularly where we are located in West London.
So if a young independent producer wants to, be a part of the British, let's say, because you are focused on the British television film industry right now, that's what your research is focused on right now. So if a young Pakistani student who is an independent producer and wants to develop his story or his movie, how can he get the skills or the opportunity to make that possible in UK? Okay.
Again, if I was a Pakistani student looking to do that, I might look to spend some time studying in the UK. One of the advantages that Brunel offers as a potential destination for international students is that because of our location, it's relatively easy for us to develop links with film and TV production companies. London, as I'm sure you're aware, is very much the cultural capital of the actual capital, really but also the cultural capital. So the film and television industries are based for the most part in London. But West London, where Brunel is located, has a long association with the film industry. So Pinewood, which for many years was the main British studio, is located 5 miles down the road from Brunel, and is still an important production facility. So the James Bond movies are shot in part there. So there are a lot of opportunities to make connections, and as you know, networking is very often the key in film and television production. The opportunity to meet people, make contacts, get exposure for your work. So I would encourage any Pakistani student who was looking to work in the UK to maybe use studying as a point of entry.
So you can get to know people over there and the culture as well, and how you can develop his skills.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you, guys, have you guys seen any Pakistani film content?
I haven't, I'm afraid.
Have you heard of any song in Pakistan?
I have to confess I haven't, and I feel terrible saying so.
It's okay,
so
because
perhaps you can recommend some to me.
I'll recommend you some songs and films afterwards.
That would be great.
What about you, sir? Have you seen any Pakistani content?
I would say the same. Unfortunately, I haven't watched any particular content.
Yeah.
But that said, I think I have watched I think an episode or two of one of your sort of soap, sort of drama shows here in Pakistan,
which is very popular in Pakistan.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're more skilled and developed in our television as compared to our films, but we're working on that as well.
Yes.
And lastly, I want to ask you guys, what do you see in future in terms of the partnership that is between Bahria and Brunel, and as well as how do you see the situation in Pakistan of filmmaking and television in the future? What are the potential possibilities that Pakistan utilize over the years?
Well, it seems to me that Pakistan is one of the great untapped markets still in terms of media production. I would expect that as Pakistan continues to flourish economically, that the creative sector will expand very rapidly. So that will be a whole range of things. It will be music, it will be television, it will be film, and I think that is the future of the Pakistani media, that kind of rapid expansion and flourishing, and because there is a Pakistani presence all over the world. I think that
we're a lot of people. Basically.
Yeah,
the population
absolutely.
is massive.
a huge population, but also a population that is increasingly mobile. That is going to be part of the future. Young Pakistanis are going to travel. They are going to be looking for education opportunities in other places. So what that will do is increase exposure to Pakistani music, Pakistani film, Pakistani television, and so forth, and that will become a process that generates great opportunity, I think.
Do you have anything to add?
No, nothing else to add, no.
Alright, so last comments, anything that you want to say?
Well, I must say, first of all, thank you very much for making me so welcome here. It's a wonderful opportunity for me to actually be able to speak on television and maybe to encourage young Pakistani students with an interest in media and so forth to get out there, make connections, make movies, make television shows, and experience everything that you possibly can to prepare yourself for a career in the media.
Keep going on. That's the key word, right?
Yeah.
What about you?
I would probably come at it from a slightly different angle. I would say I think there's a lot of platforms. There are a lot of platforms out there. The likes of YouTube, where nowadays if you sort of you've got different series, different content creators even that are able to make a living out of pushing content out to the global audience. So there are different ways of getting yourself to be known and to really sort of hone your skills as an artist. Yeah.
That's very important. And thank you so much. On that note, we have to say goodbye to you, and hope you have a wonderful stay in Pakistan. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. On that note, I'm going to say goodbye to you all. Have a great and a lovely day. I'm going to see you guys next time. Take care. Allah Hafiz.